What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Grey Man Operations. Today we are going to be taking a look at the extremely popular Alphatactix Holsters. This has been one of my most requested reviews in recent times. A lot of you are super keen to get my opinions on the Alphatactix Holsters. Before we get into that, guys, a couple of cool things. If you are the first person to comment on this video, you will go down in history as the first person to have commented on this video. But what's also even more cool than that is patrons. I'm going to be giving away an Alphatactix holster, one a month for the remainder of the remaining months of this channel. Sometimes it's going to be a draw. Sometimes it's going to pick someone that I want to give it to. This particular one I want to give to one of my patrons called Dion Libber. Dion is someone who quite literally has a massive hand in the fact that this channel exists, and every month I don't give him something for being a patron. He's someone who really doesn't have to be a patron. He contributes a tremendous amount to this channel's existence. I feel bad about it. So Dion, you are going to be the first person to get an Alphatactix holster for being a patron. At the end of this month, I'm giving away a full SA laser engraving custom job for your firearm. SA laser engraving pretty much did 99% of the work on my firearm. That's to one of my patrons. If you want to become a patron, it's the first link if you're watching on YouTube, and it's the first comment if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram. Let's get in to the holster review. Let's talk about concealment. Now, as you can see from these shots, the Alphatactix holster provides me with an acceptable level of concealment. I'm running it with the Streamlight TLR1HL or the Inforce Wild 2 weapon mounted lights, and from concealment properties I'm more than satisfied, even when compared to one of the best holsters on the market as far as I'm concerned, the Southwest holsters which you're seeing now. The concealment is comparable, if not equal, to the Southwest holsters. Now, guys, the thing that provides that concealment is A, the flexible center, which we are going to talk about, and B, the claw. Now, its claw design is quite different to what a lot of other guys do. It's a really thick, I don't know if you can see how thick that is, but it's a really thick piece of what seems like Kydex. Now, obviously, it is not height adjustable, because it screws in there, and those are the only two holes that it will fit into. But I've not found that I've needed to adjust the height of the claw because the clips are height adjustable. Speaking of the clips, they come with this style of clip. I don't know what this brand is. I particularly like the tackwear clips, which I've put onto this Alphatactix holster. These are my favorite kinds of clips, but I can tell you, in running the holster, I haven't had any particular issues with the clips that they come with, and like I said, they are height adjustable. Having the capacity to adjust the ride height of the holster is very important because, like I said in a few videos ago, which is popping up in the screen now if you're watching on YouTube, having more holster lower in your pants helps with comfort and concealment, and you can do that with this and still have a good accessible grip. When I talk about an accessible grip, I want to be able to access the firearm with a robust, repeatable grip. So with this B-roll, you'll see that my average speed for an aimed shot at 10 meters is around 1.3, 1.4 seconds, and that's where I expect to be. That is pretty much where I am right now. And so being able to conceal as well as I am concealed, and having the holster then still provide the firearm or provide access to the firearm in such a way where the grip of the firearm isn't sitting all the way on my belt line is very important. Doing one reload once, this is basically me testing the position of the spare mag carrier. The spare mag carrier does provide access to the spare mag without any issues. I also find that I am able to do tack reloads and then reseat the mag inside the mag carrier. The reason I do that, I know it is not common practice, and I understand why, because in a ISIS situation, you are going to revert back to your training. But I feel like it's the best place probably to put a mag that still has rounds in it, because that's where your mags go. And if you then need to switch out to your older mag, it'll be in a place where you remember, and where switching it out is a normal movement, or trained movement for you. Another thing I want to talk about with regards to Alphatactix Holsters is the retention. That people who like that whole ASMR retention click, you are definitely going to find that with Alphatactix. All of their holsters click into place with a very positive and satisfying click. I have a holster for the Inforce Wild 2. I have 2 holsters for the Streamlight TLR1HL, and I have a holster for the Inforce Wild 1, and I can tell you they all have that very satisfying retention click. I'm not going to switch out lights on the video because it doesn't take too long, but trust me, they all click into place. Even on the mag carrier side, which is a nice throwback to the old days, right? When people used to make mag carriers that have that retention click. I really do appreciate that. Now guys, talking about the mag carrier side of things, the snake staff systems, EDC tourniquet, the normal one, i.e. not the wide, will fit inside an Alphatactix spare mag carrier quite nicely, and it actually sits in there really nicely and really snugly, so that's quite cool. If you do have a weird light that no one makes a holster for, Alphatactix are your guys. So they obviously can make holsters for the Inforce Wild 2 and Wild 1, as well as a Streamlight TLR1HL. If you've got like a weird Viridian or O-light or whatever the case may be that no one makes a holster for, the guys at Alphatactix are your guys. Just send them your light and they will custom make a holster for you. The holsters go for between 1.3 and 1.5, but if you do want a nice discount, this discount code at the bottom, hashtag GraymanD10, excuse me, gets you a 10% discount. And if you use that discount, I make absolutely nothing. That's totally 10% for you guys. Just email the guys at Alphatactix and say you'd like to use the Grayman operations discount code, which is hashtag GraymanD10, and you'll get a 10% discount off any order from the guys over at Alphatactix. Mobility. So for me, wearing a holster should not limit your degree of mobility. I do want to stress, if you couldn't kneel or lean left or right before you put on a holster, chances are you're not going to be able to do it after you put on a holster. So don't blame the holster if you are not keeping yourself in shape. I want to maintain my ability to lean left and lean right. That's very important to leaning around cover. You never know where your cover is going to be placed. You can literally sit down on your haunches and draw and fire the firearm if you absolutely have to, although I don't recommend it. It's not a very stable platform. And then also the ability to jump. You might have to jump over something, jump towards someone, jump away from someone, whatever the case may be, jump over a wall. I don't want a holster to prevent me from doing that, and the Alphatactix holsters is comfortable enough to where I can do that. Now guys, before we get to final thoughts, I do want to tell you that the Alphatactix holsters, as you've seen, are suppressor height sight as well as optic ready out of the box, so you won't have to worry about that. It's going to fit, unless you have ridiculous suppressor height sights, it's going to fit your suppressor height sights quite comfortably. One of the things I did do, so if you look at this, let's take this one because this is a more similar representation. If you look at this holster, the mag carrier side is very firmly attached. I loosened that a bit, so you can see mine is a bit looser, because that ability to curve around your body is essential to concealment and comfort. And so for me, having it this tight doesn't make that much sense, because you don't want it fighting your belt line. You want it to curve with your belt line. I did mention that to the guys at Alphatactix, and they were like, makes sense, and they're probably going to, or hopefully going to incorporate it into their later coming holsters. But this is a cheap fix, guys. This is like $5 worth of shock cord, and you can sort this out. So it's not a massive train smash. Now guys, the folks from Alphatactix use a molding technique called foam pressing, and I have to be honest, I'm gonna eat my own words. Their technique, whatever they're doing, does provide a very well-formed holster. If I look at this and I compare it to a vacuum-formed holster, the comparison isn't something that a layman would be able to pick out. I do appreciate that vacuum-formed holsters are often molded much tighter. Like if you look at the Southwest holsters for the Steamlit TL or 1HL, the mold lines are often perfectly straight because they're using a technique that has very little human intervention, whereas foam pressing, there's still quite a lot of human interaction on there. But I do want to say the folks from Alphatactix are doing a really good job with what they're doing. If I was going to start out making holsters, this is more than likely where or how I would start out. I would take cues from some of the best holsters out there, and I would try to put my own spin on it a bit. I understand that Alphatactix are still quite new to the game, and maybe they do progress into foam pressing, but I do want to say if you do buy one of these holsters, you are not going to be disappointed for molding. The molding is really well done for a foam pressed holster. Very, very impressive, and I can imagine this is not 2 minutes worth of learning, so well done to them. The only catch with foam press holsters is I can't guarantee every single one is going to be like every single other one. There's a lot of human intervention in making this holster, and so whilst I went out of my way to get multiple different versions of the holsters, and all of mine are pretty good and pretty much the exact same. An example I will give you is if you look at the molding on their logo on this holster, right? It's more defined than on this holster. Now, that's molding on a logo, but it's what I'm trying to get to is that foam pressing is not an exact science as vacuum forming, and so there is definitely going to be a minute tolerance of difference holster to holster, and that's kind of something that is par for the course. It's just basically what you have to accept when you are making holsters like this. It's impossible for someone to do. It's impossible for a man to make the exact same thing twice exactly the same. However, having said that, I can say that they are pretty close to each other and they are pretty decent holsters. I would say of all the foam pressing holsters in the country, the Alphatactix holsters are probably amongst the best. And so if you want a holster for a very particular light that no one makes a holster for, or if you just want the Alphatactix holster because you think they look very cool and you want my logo on it, I don't know if you can see right there is the Greyman Operations logo on the back. He's got my favorite Bible verse, which is Isaiah 6 verse 8. And so I heard the voice of the Lord, and he said, who shall I send? Who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. Very kind of him to put that on the back of the holster, which I really appreciate. You won't be disappointed, or at least from my opinion, you won't be disappointed with an Alphatactix holster. In terms of foam pressing, I think they make one of the better foam press holsters that I've seen in South Africa. I want to say a huge thanks to Aaron at Alphatactix, really cool guy. He's the main guy. Besides being really cool, he's also a former operator, which puts a sort of a soft spot in my heart for him. So I really hope he goes from strength to strength. I believe he's on the right path to becoming one of the bigger guys or the better guys in South Africa and beginning to compete with the top guys like your Southwests, Shinobi Kydex, those sort of guys. Bravo Concealments here in South Africa, etc. That is it, guys. Have a good week. I'll see you next week for another gear review. Be safe, train hard. Cheers. God bless.